How y'all doing? Donald back here again, and today we're going to learn how to interact with a Redis instance in Go. Yeah. We're going to do this using a package that you will see I have the go get command for down here called redigo. I think that's how you say it, redigo. And to get it set up to do this, you just do github.com, go module, redigo, redis. I already have this here, so it's not going to do anything. So let's actually get started. You'll actually see I also have a little check error function here. This is so I don't have to do if error does not equal nil over and over and over again. So first thing we want to do is actually connect to our Redis instance. I have it running in a Docker container, and the port is forwarded on the same default port that Redis uses, which is 6379. So to do that, that Redis package has a function called dial. So I'm going to say connection error equals redis.dial. And then it takes in, I think, a number of arguments, which is the protocol and then the address. So since it sits on my local machine, we're just going to do TCP and then localhost port 6379 like that. Now I'm going to do check error. So I don't have to, again, duplicate myself 20,000 times. And I'm going to do defer connection.close. So let's just run this real quick to make sure that is working fine. So go run. Okay, not getting an error, so we're fine there. So let's actually set a key on here. For the purpose of this, I'm mostly going to be interacting with hashes because there's a little trick I want to show you you could do with structs with this package, which is pretty neat. So to start, you do this by running the usual Redis commands that you run. This package does not provide like special methods to use. The main thing you're going to do is you're going to call like connection.do, and then you're just going to basically build your Redis command not dissimilar from how you would do it on the actual Redis CLI. And when you do, it returns two values, a reply and an error. And in the case of when you're setting a key like this, in this instance, I'm not particularly interested in the reply, because if there is an error, there is a problem, there will actually be an error return. So I'm going to do underscore to throw the reply away. Error equals connection.do. And I'm going to space this out across multiple lines because this is going to be a little bit. I'm going to do hm set, which if you're familiar with Redis commands, this is the command to set multiple hash fields on a certain key. So the first argument after the command is the key, and we're going to be interacting with podcasts. So I'm going to say podcast :1, anything like, well, this is like the cached instance of a podcast type in your system. And see, the first field we're going to have is title, and the name of it is Tech Over Tea. By the way, if you're interested in Linux and stuff, you should go check out that particular podcast on YouTube called Tech Over Tea. The creator, whose YouTube channel you should also check out because very good Linux content, is Brody Robertson. Yep. Category, I'm going to say, is technology. And this, and I'm going to say he wishes. Membership fee is $9.99. And I'm just putting that one there just so that there's something besides a string in this hash map. So we're going to run this. And we obviously want to check to see if there is an error. So we're going to do my check error, just like that. So let's go ahead and run this and see if we get an error. Okay, no error. That means this key was set on our Redis instance. So let's read back out one of the fields off that hash map. And to do that, so when we get a reply, it's not something that's like a native Go type, but this Redis package has some functions you can make use of to cast a reply into a certain type if it can. If it can't, it'll throw an error. So let's say I want to get the podcast name. So I'm gonna say title error equals redis.string. And I'm going to pass into it the reply from doing connection.do. And the command's going to be hget, which is the command to get the value of a map by its key. And we're going to do podcast :1, and I want the title. So we're going to check the error, and now I'm going to just fmt println podcast title. So let's run this and see what we get. You will see podcast title take over T. So it did successfully retrieve that map out of our Redis instance, get that specific field, cast it, convert it to a Golang string, and allowed us to interact with it. So let's do another one. Let's get the membership fee out of it. So we're gonna do fee error equals redis.float64 connection.do hget podcast :1 membership fee, check error, and fmt println podcast membership fee. So let's run this, and we can do indeed get our membership fee value that has been properly casted as a float. So that's all fine and good, but let's say we want to get all of the values of this map. Okay? And there's two ways to do this. One is, I guess you want to call it a generic way, and then the other way, we're actually going to make use of a struct, and this is why I wanted to use maps for this example primarily. So I'm going to do values, values error equals redis.string map. Now, as that name probably tells you, it's going to attempt to take this Redis reply and convert it to a map with string keys and also pointing to string values. And I'm going to use the command hgetAll, which is the Redis command, which is where when you give it a key, will give you all of the keys and values for that map. So I'm going to do our podcast :1, check our error, and I want to screen whatever. Oh, it's because I didn't do connection.do. Yeah, big dummy. There we go. And we're going to check our error. So assuming this is not forked, we should have a map. So let's range over our map. So for kv equals range over values, fmt println key k, fmt println value v. Let's run this. So what this should give us is every single value in that map. And there you go. We have key title, take over T, creator, Brody, category technology, membership fee, $9.99. So that's fine and dandy, but it would be really nice if we could just stick this stuff in a struct. And you can actually do that. So what we need to do that is not dissimilar from how you can apply tags to struct properties to make them unmarshal correctly when you do JSON. You can do the same thing for Redis. So I'm going to create a podcast struct up here. Struct, I can't type. And what do we had? We had title, I can't spell it, title string. And I'm going to give it a JSON. I'm so used to hitting JSON. I'm going to give it a tag of Redis. And it's going to look for a value called title. And we have creator, string, Redis, creator, brain, what was the other? Right, look at, well, we have membership fee, right? Oh, category, string, Redis, category. Oops, I didn't put that in. Double quotes. Okay. And then lastly, we have fee, float 64, and it is Redis membership. Should be good. Okay. So now what we can do here is double check my class, make sure I'm not wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this other method function on this Redis package called values. And the only thing values does is it returns us something, a variable that is of type a slice of the interface, meaning it's a slice of a bunch of values. Doesn't matter what the type of values are. And we need that because we need to pass it into another function that the Redis package has called scan struct. Okay, so I'm going to do reply error equals redis dot values connection do to send the actual command h get all, like we did earlier, podcast check error. So we have our reply that has our basically that a slice of all of that that maps information. So I'm going to create a new instance of our podcast struct podcast, and I'm going to do error equals redis dot scan struct, passing in reply and a pointer to our podcast. And I'm going to check error. So finally, assuming this worked right, we should be able to fmt print f. I'm going to say podcast percent plus percent v. Oh wait, I did it wrong. It's percent plus v. Okay, there we go. And do a new line. I'm going to pass in the podcast. So assuming I didn't goof that first part, this should give us a podcast struct with the properties set to the values that was in that map. Run this, and there you go. It not dissimilar from whenever you're unmarshalling a JSON response into a struct. We have essentially unmarshaled a Redis reply into a struct, which allows you to do anything else that you normally want to do with that struct. That's all I got for you today. Redis is much simpler than Mongo, so all you're really doing is just setting keys and reading keys back out of it. There's a couple other things you can look into for this package where you can do connection pooling, and I think connection pooling is the only really main thing, because it does say in the documentation about this particular Redis package is that the connection object you get back whenever you call the dial function is not safe for concurrent use. So if you have multiple Go routines that need to access that Redis instance, you need to actually use the connection pooling to get its own connection whenever that particular process needs it, do something, and then close it so that it returns the connection back to the pool to be used. Just something to keep in mind. That's all I got for you today. Be sure to like, subscribe, share the video if anybody else would like it. And y'all come on back now, and I'll see you next time.